In the anime future, the universe falls prey to a new breed of intergalactic supercriminals. When the space cops are out of options, they call on a misfit team of bounty hunters to take care of business. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Crime Crackers. So let's wrap up our look at the PlayStation's Japanese launch lineup with Crime Crackers, a joint production between Sony and developer MediaVision Entertainment. We've covered games from a bunch of different publishers over the last few episodes, but this is the only Japanese launch game for the PlayStation that was published by Sony itself. As you might be able to tell from this animated ending sequence, this game had a budget, and Sony was banking on it becoming the PlayStation's first big hit. Once you get past a really lengthy opening cutscene, you'll discover that Crime Crackers is an early first-person shooter, the first of its kind for the PlayStation. You spend each level shooting enemies and searching rooms for items, and then you usually fight a boss at the end. Between levels, you can upgrade your weapons and armor, and you can sell any valuables you picked up along the way for cash. The combat mechanics actually work a little bit differently than you might expect. See, you can't just fire your weapon anytime you want. First, you have to enter a combat stance, which brings up a cursor and changes your movement controls. From there, you can aim and shoot at enemies while you strafe using the shoulder buttons. You can technically turn while in combat mode, but you have to actually drag your cursor to the side of the screen, making it kind of impractical. While playing Crime Crackers, I was reminded of Kill Eek, the DNA imperative from a few episodes ago. You know, the mech FPS from Genki? Like in Kill Eek, you spend most of the game traveling down these long corridors filled with enemies, and the close quarters combat often makes it difficult to dodge their counterattacks. You end up taking a lot of damage as a result, and you constantly need to track down restorative items to keep your health and ammo supplies filled. So while Crime Crackers may be technically classified as a shooter, its focus on exploration and resource management often makes it feel more like a dungeon crawler, like Wizardry or something. Another thing that makes Crime Crackers a little different from other first-person shooters is that you're actually controlling 3 characters at the same time. During combat, the middle character fires their weapon, and if you take a hit on the left or right side of the screen, your party members take damage. This adds a little bit of strategy to the game, since you'll want to sideline your teammates when their health runs low or when you want to save ammo. So, who made this thing? Well, Crime Crackers was the first game from MediaVision, a studio founded in 1993. MediaVision's co-founders, Takashi Fukushima and Akifumi Kaneko, met while they were employed at Japanese developer Telenet, where they worked on games like Valis, Poppin' Magic, and Beast Wrestler. Fukushima and Kaneko really hit it off during the development of Tenshi no Uta 2, which ended up being one of Telenet's most popular RPGs for NEC's PC Engine CD-ROM. The project marked a pretty big bump for Kaneko's career. He'd previously done assistant directorial work for the original Tenshi no Uta before being promoted to head writer and director for the sequel. Tenshi no Uta 2's memorable story ended up being its big selling point, apparently, and Kaneko's talent for writing and directing grabbed Fukushima's attention. At that point, Fukushima had been working as a producer at Telenet for several years, and I assume he approached Kaneko with a pitch like, "Hey buddy, I got the money and you got the talent. Let's start our own dang studio." A few weeks before Tenshi no Uta 2 shipped, the pair split Telenet and launched MediaVision. During the production of Crime Crackers, Sony paired MediaVision with its own in-house development staff, bringing in designers and producers from past Sony ImageSoft projects like Hook and Skyblazer. To sweeten the deal, Sony also hired manga artist Kokomai to do character design, while anime production house Studio Zine handled the ending sequence. The end result is Sony's first published game for the PlayStation, and one that the company hoped would make a huge impact on the Japanese market. Was it successful? Well, Crime Crackers is fun at first, but the novelty wears off quickly. You fight the same enemies in almost every level, and your objectives often boil down to find key, open door, fight boss. It gets pretty repetitive. Also, the map layouts aren't very imaginative, and there aren't any landmarks to help you not get lost. Every level is just a small set of textures repeated over and over, and while you have an auto map that tracks where you've already explored, the mazes can get really irritating when you're hunting for health and items. After a while, the objectives just feel like busy work. This level, for instance, is a bunch of looping corridors, and I'm supposed to find 5 jumbo mushrooms hidden throughout. Not the gold mushrooms, not the blue ones, the jumbo mushrooms. And no, you can't eat or use the other mushrooms you find, they just take up inventory space. This goes on for about half an hour, and the entire time you're fighting clones of the same enemy over and over again. And then once you finally reach the boss, it turns out to be the exact same enemy you've been fighting the whole level, only this time, it's red. Apparently, Crime Crackers was developed over a period of only 4 months, so MediaVision obviously had to cut some corners. That said, there are some interesting parts. This level is a playable dream sequence where the main character is chasing her brother, only he disappears every time you find him. It actually succeeds at giving you a sense of dreamlike helplessness and claustrophobia. That's pretty creative for a game released in 1994. But to get to any of the cool parts in Crime Crackers, you're gonna have to play through 10 times as much filler. Oh, and you should also know that if you want to progress beyond a certain point, you need to be able to read Japanese. My playthrough ended at this level, which is a giant empty maze with all these wall panels that you need to examine for clues. At the end, it asks you to put in a code to open the door to the boss's room, which I was never able to figure out since I couldn't read the hints throughout the level. Now, assuming you actually can finish the game, you'll be rewarded with an animated music video, complete with a vocal theme song. You should check it out if you're a fan of early 90s anime. It makes me wonder though, why put this at the very end of the game? Shouldn't this be, the intro? Seems like a wasted opportunity. While Ridge Racer ended up being the one game that ultimately defined the PlayStation at launch, it's obvious that Sony had similar hopes for Crime Crackers, and the company did everything it could to make its first published PlayStation game a big hit. Unfortunately, the gameplay isn't quite strong enough to make you want to play through the whole thing, and online reviews say that the story takes a major nosedive after the first couple of hours or so. You'd think that all this unskippable dialogue would flesh out the characters a little bit, but apparently that's not the case. Oh well. This isn't the last time we'll see developer MediaVision in this series, though. Far from it. Most of the Crime Crackers development team went on to make Gunner's Heaven, another early-era PlayStation game that we'll take a look at in a future episode. The studio also released a sequel to Crime Crackers in 1997. But these days, MediaVision is best known for the series that it launched after Crime Crackers and Gunner's Heaven. In 1996, Crime Crackers designer Akifumi Kaneko directed the studio's first breakout hit, the Western-themed RPG Wild Arms. We'll cover Wild Arms and its many sequels eventually, but right now it's safe to say that MediaVision found regular work in the years after Crime Crackers. So, like many of the games we've covered so far, Crime Crackers isn't entirely successful, but it helps lay the foundation for Sony's gaming empire. While its gameplay isn't as refined as players might have hoped, it's ambitious, it's got great production values, and it established MediaVision as a crucial partner for Sony. Working together, the two companies would refine their craft in the years ahead, and it wouldn't be long until they'd start cranking out the hits. Next time on PlayStation Year 1, we're returning to the North American side of things with Air Combat, another arcade port from Namco. Ridge Racer left us with some pretty high expectations, so we'll have to see how this one stacks up. We'll continue to look at the PlayStation's early Japanese games in the future as part of our upcoming series PlayStation Year Zero. Because, having one Chrono Gaming project just wasn't enough for us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.